What's good, everybody? It's your boy D Nice with I2G Radio, back at it with another Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Urge everyone to like, comment, and subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are I2G Radio. Letter I, number 2, letter G, radio, 2 words. You can also check us out on YouTube, Viva Las Raiders podcast. Big ups to everybody that's been subscribing there and also checking out the videos. Word Viva, word Las, word Raiders with an S. And also the hip hop site, www.illuminati2g.com. You can just go straight to the links and the I2G Radio podcast. All of these will be archived on there as well. Let's get into today's show. Today talking about, should the Raiders sign Stefon Diggs, wide receiver, is currently a free agent with the New England Patriots. Kind of going back and forth with this one. I have a definitive answer at the end of all this, but in really kind of doing a little bit more kind of research and looking at the numbers, it is kind of intriguing, I'm not going to lie, but I do have a definitive answer, but we'll get right into it. So last year, Stefon Diggs had... 85 receptions, 1,013 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Was basically the number one wide receiver for the New England Patriots. He started his career with the Vikings. Has some incredible, playoff games. Then, was left there and then went to the Buffalo Bills. Had great years with Josh Allen. But always kind of the thing with Stefon Diggs, to me, always was like kind of an attitude or a character issue. There were definitely times where he had, had a couple of run-ins. Nothing too crazy where you're constantly seeing him, in the news. But just kind of came across always to me kind of as a little bit of a diva or a me type of a receiver. And, for a lot of those places, though, those teams, they did, did play well. He did, unfortunately, have a ACL injury when he played for the Texans, but he was playing well for them also. But always kind of bounced around, never really could find a place for maybe, 3-4 years. Just seemed like he kind of wore thin on teammates, organization, for whatever the case may be. But as far as just stats, great. Still, even in being a older receiver, 30, almost 33 years old, but still able, run crisp routes, intermediate, just as still a big play wide receiver. And that's really something that's missing from the Raiders wide receiver room, is kind of that dominant number one kind of, route running receiver for this team. And, to be honest with you, it would be nice to, bring him in kind of on a prove it type deal. It would really kind of round out the Raiders receiving room, where now you have kind of the, heir apparent eventually to Diggs would be kind of like, for example, your Jack Besh. You could work him in with Jalen Naylor that they have now. You've got Brock Bowers, who can also, split out wide. You still have Dante Thornton that you're developing year 2, where he can kind of be that, take the top off, but, has that kind of height, weight, speed element that you're looking for, especially in the red zone. And then you could go in the draft, possibly look more at a Malachi Fields, kind of a big body wide receiver to put opposite, on the outside. Or if you want to go then with a kind of speedy, shifty, kind of like a, Zach Branch, or, a player of that nature, a Casey Concepcion, a little more of a slot wide receiver, and quick, quick off the ball wide receiver, then you could go that route as well. And a player like Diggs would kind of assist with that, just like the last pod that we had where we talked about Juwan Jennings. But teammates for the most part. Well, minus a couple that's very subliminal as far as the whole Josh Allen situation. But for the most part, I've heard nothing but good things about players that have talked about Stefon Diggs as a teammate, and heard great things about him in New England, being a real leader of that locker room, and was a favorite of Coach Rabel's. But here comes the but part. He's got a lot of kind of things that have absolutely nothing to do with football going on. He's got some pending legal cases. I'm not here to speak on them. I didn't read up or anything on it. I just checking ESPN or just checking, Newswire here and there. He's got a lot of heat on him right now. And I don't think of all places, I've never really used this for a lot of players, but a place like Las Vegas here can go 0 to 60 real quick with somebody like Stefon Diggs. Bright lights, big city. Vegas is up there, and he's got a little bit of everything that he may need and a lot of what he don't need at this point. So that's really my only thing where I would be like, no, Raiders, it would be just our luck. We sign him to a prove-it deal, and then he's got some case, and then he gets suspended for, the first 6 or 8 games of the season. And I'm not saying that will happen in this case, but I've said, just as a Raider fan, PTSD with a lot of things, that would be just our luck to do this. It would be like some Alden Smith type bullshit. But as far as the player, he's really kind of ideally what the Raiders need as far as a veteran wide receiver in that room, and kind of can be that number one for a rookie like Fernando Mendoza, just like he was, for a second-year player in Drake May, and really helped him. A lot of his, was second in MVP voting was Drake May. A lot of that, you can contribute to having a Stefon Diggs in your offense. Offensively, I think he would work in Kubiak's offense, but again, it's just the off the field issues, and anytime your off the field issues affect your on the field performance or your on the field attendance, it's really not, the risk reward is too much risk, not enough reward. I think they should steer clear of that. I personally would like to see them go with a Juwan Jennings, or if you're not going to go that route, you could double up in the draft. You would have a very young wide receiver room, but you can kind of diversify that room out. Like I said, get you maybe another big play, red zone, big body wide receiver that's good in the red zone. Or you could go a completely different route, draft the next guy that you think could be the next Rashid Shaheed and be a good return guy. There's many different routes that the Raiders could go. But again, the only reason why I'm saying no to Stefon Diggs really is the off the field. The ego and all of that, I can deal with that portion of it, but it's really the off the field things that really kind of make me just, okay, this is definitely not the route for the Raiders to go. We'll probably do maybe another one of these. Haven't decided yet of what are the remaining free agents. We're about a month out from the NFL draft, so definitely again be doing some mock drafts, maybe some players that I'm interested in the Raiders drafting in this draft, but kind of go over different options, some final needs I think for the team to round out, especially after the draft. And then, like I said, you're going to have post June 1st cuts. There's going to be a lot of big names, as there always is, especially after the draft. Teams really decide, okay, we've got this veteran. Do we need to move forward with him, or do we draft his, heir apparent, and we can, save some money? So you're definitely going to have some big names. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a wide receiver or two around that time frame. But, that's the one thing I can say about the NFL. It is now a year-round phenomenon. Even the off season has just as much excitement and drama as it feels like the regular season does. It's just they're just not playing, but it's definitely stuff that you can tune into day in and day out, any time of the year, and especially with the Raiders. So we're definitely getting into that rebuild, but we will definitely be following more here. So keep it locked. Illuminati2g.com is a hip hop site. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, I2G Radio, letter I, number 2, letter G Radio. All my YouTube followers as well. Much love and appreciation. Like I said, that YouTube channel is growing. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Check us out. Viva Las Raiders. Word Viva, word Las, Raiders with an S. D Nice, I2G Radio. Signing off. Peace.